Hello everyone, my name is Beth Lewis and I'm glad you could join me today. I know that if you're watching this webinar, you're either seriously considering or have already made the decision to transition your career from a clinical practice into a non-clinical or entrepreneurial lifestyle. Whether you're interested in maintaining your clinical practice while expanding non-clinical opportunities, or you're ready to make the leap into some sort of an entrepreneurial setting, I'm going to help you get the ball rolling today. So who is this for, you may be asking? Am I a physician that can benefit from watching this webinar? The answer to both is yes. If you will stay with me for less than 60 minutes of your already hectic day, I will show you step by step what you need to do to transition your career. If you're the doctor who wants more from your life than you currently have, this is for you. This is for the doctor that wants his or her time, family, and life back. In less than 60 minutes, I'll show you how you can let go of the guilt you may be feeling about leaving clinical medicine. I'll help you get to the point where you can stop worrying about what others think about your decision to transition your career. I'll show you how to open your mind to new career possibilities and fully and totally embrace the emotions associated with your career transition. My big promise to you is that at the end of this webinar, you will know, without a shadow of a doubt, if a career transition is right for you. Don't worry about a sales pitch at the end of this webinar. I'm not selling anything. However, if you stay with me until the end of the webinar, I have a very cool gift for you. Tell me if this sounds like you. Are you tired of non-physicians always dictating how you run your practice? Are you constantly thinking about how many patients you need to see every day to make your practice payroll or personal financial commitments? Are you tired of being held to impossibly high standards by patients that don't comply with your medical recommendations, yet come back visit after visit wondering why they're not getting any better? Or even worse, have you been sued because you are in some way associated with a surgical case or course of treatment with a poor outcome, regardless of whether or not you are in the wrong? Are you working harder and harder and bringing home less because of ongoing changes in reimbursement? You have a hard time remembering the last time you slept through the night without the phone ringing? Do you miss more family functions than you make? Are you watching your children grow up at a distance without getting a true opportunity to be involved? Are your interpersonal relationships strained or even failing because you're never around? Is it becoming increasingly difficult to meet your financial commitments? Is your physical or emotional health being negatively affected by your clinical career and all that that entails? Are you abusing drugs or alcohol to keep going? Do you dread even thinking about getting out of bed in the morning because you know your day will be filled with chaos and stress? Do you ask yourself, how can I possibly live like this for the rest of my life? If this sounds like you, I want you to know that none of the above is the real problem. The real problem is that you haven't made the shifts. Today I'm going to help you discover the 5 shifts that will change everything for you. Once you make these 5 shifts, you will understand what it takes to manage your personal time and be able to implement the necessary changes. I promise that you will never miss another family function. You will have the choice to take your children to school and hear about their day when they get home. You will be able to make their science fairs and coach their baseball teams. And let's not forget being able to spend quality time with your significant other and visit your aging parents who we know won't be around forever. You will be able to take a vacation anytime you want without having to schedule around one of your colleagues' vacations. You won't have to worry if your call schedule conflicts with other personal commitments. you will be able to do whatever is necessary to reclaim your physical and emotional health. You will be in charge of how much you make and how many hours you work. You will have permission to explore whatever interests you, things you have never had the time to explore before because your schedule wouldn't allow it. You will become your own boss, but perhaps most importantly, you will live by your own set of rules. The one thing you must understand is that there are 5 simple shifts you need to make to reclaim your life, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make those shifts today. But first, let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm a fellowship-trained pediatric anesthesiologist who, prior to transitioning into the entrepreneurial world, made a very nice living in private practice. In fact, as a pediatric anesthesiologist, I was at the top of the financial food chain when it comes to medical specialties. To the disapproval of my colleagues, I scaled back my practice to part-time in the early 2000s, and in 2008 left clinical medicine altogether. I have been delightfully entrenched in the entrepreneurial world since that time. I am a mother who has been able to watch her children grow up without having to pick and choose between my career and being part of my children's youth. I am a successful woman who gets to spend every day working with my successful business consultant husband and partner on a variety of exciting entrepreneurial ventures. So what exactly do I do, you may be wondering? I am a sports injury analyst who works with professional and NCAA teams, other sports physicians, physical therapists, and athletic trainers. I'm a published medical writer, regularly writing for Walgreens, the Dr. Phil McGraw organization, Livestrong, and numerous other publications. I am the co-owner of a content production company that delivers content to businesses all over the world. I am a co-owner of over 100 active websites and over 150 digital domains. I am an active online financial trader and a high-end real estate investor specializing in beachfront property. I am what I like to call the next big idea girl for our company. And most importantly, I help other doctors successfully transition their careers just like I did. Now that you know about me, who I am, and how I transitioned from my clinical career into a highly successful non-clinical lifestyle, let's get down to work getting some clarity for you about the 5 shifts you need to make to join me on this incredible journey of career transition. The first thing that you need to embrace is the concept of operating with total integrity and honesty. This concept is perhaps the easiest of all topics we need to cover today, as this is typically the general mantra of how most physicians function. One of the most difficult issues I had to reconcile when I moved away from clinical medicine and into the business world is that the ethics of businesses don't always mirror the ethics of medicine. I struggled on a near daily basis to understand why so many of my business associates didn't just, quote-unquote, do the right thing. For the most part, I surrounded myself with quality business associates, but there always seemed to be a thread of less than honorable business moves being made. I often said to my partner, if I practiced medicine the way these people do business, I'd be sued constantly. But the reality is, even though medicine is business, those of us that take care of patients don't run our clinical practices like a business. We operate on the basis of kindness and compassion, the bottom line always being the patient's best interest rather than the almighty dollar. Now, you might be thinking, if this is the way business operates, not as ethically sound as I am accustomed to, how will I ever make it in the non-clinical or entrepreneurial world? Will I be walked on and taken advantage of because I am used to doing the right thing rather than taking the most profitable course of action? My answer to that question is a resounding no. Though the onus may be on you as a business entrepreneur to make decisions based on the bottom line dollar, it is important that you remember you are a physician first. You've gotten to where you are by doing the honorable thing and taking the high road. Your transition can only be successful if you remain true to yourself and the ethical philosophy that's gotten you to this point. Don't compromise your integrity just because others may be willing to do so. Your past successes have hinged on your honesty and integrity, and your future successes will be no different. Now is not the time to change course. The next shift involves learning how to leverage your time. We all understand clinical physicians don't get paid unless they're caring for patients. And to extrapolate that out even a bit more, payment is truly never guaranteed unless your practice is set up as a cash-only business. The business structure of refusing all insurance is only possible if your practice is freestanding, without hospital affiliations, and this particular scenario does not apply to the majority of physicians in practice today. In business, income is scalable on a multitude of levels. This is almost never the case with a practicing physician. If you don't work, you don't get paid. Add on to that the required time it takes to fill out insurance forms, write letters to insurance companies that have denied your services, deal with personnel issues, and manage your payroll. It's a wonder you ever get home at all. The big question is, how do you scale your business if there is only one of you? Part of the answer revolves around hiring staff that can take care of paperwork and manage personnel issues. And though that may free up some additional time, it doesn't make you any more money. In fact, as most of you already know, a reliable office manager and honest billing company are very difficult to come by, and they certainly don't come cheap. So how exactly do you put more free time into your day? Well, to start, you do something medicine would never allow you to do. You change your business strategy. You learn to scale up your non-clinical or entrepreneurial opportunities while you duplicate your time. You learn to develop multiple streams of income that will produce for you even while you're sleeping. In this way, your time becomes leverageable. You will come to understand why all successful people scale their businesses and duplicate their efforts, and by doing that, build more time into their day. Once you understand this concept, which has never and will never be an option in clinical medicine, you will never exchange your time for money again. One of my clients early on was an oncological surgeon. He was working close to 100 hours a week and was literally the poster child for physician burnout. He was so busy, and yet he would often run 10, even as much as 20 miles a day in search of clarity and reduced stress. His work was very honorable, but it was literally killing him. Before he became one of my clients, we were friends, and we would often talk about what I was doing and how I was doing it. I could see that he was really in need of some help coming to grips with change, but it wasn't my business to encourage him to leave clinical medicine. So I supported him as a friend and colleague, and after about a year and a half, he approached me about formally being one of my clients. His transition was breathtaking. I watched him repair his relationship with his spouse and reconcile with his estranged adult child. I watched that same formerly estranged adult child welcome him into his grandchildren's lives. It was literally a rebirth for this man. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what happened to his patients? Well, here's one thing that you have to know. Every single one of us, as clinical physicians, is replaceable. Let me say that again. We are all replaceable. He transferred his practice to a very capable surgeon in the same subspecialty. The transfer of his patient population to another physician was smooth, and none of his patients ever went without care. Because of the nature of his practice, I truly believe this concern was what kept him in clinical practice for so long. So what did he end up doing, you're probably wondering? It's a pretty incredible story, actually. He moved out west with his family and bought a large parcel of farmable land. Today he is a very successful cattle rancher who spends his days tending to thousands of head of cattle. We spoke not long ago, and he honestly isn't even the same man. He restored his health mentally and physically and was able to repair several damaged relationships. He is financially head and shoulders above anything he could have achieved through his surgical practice. He still volunteers with his medical skill set, but now he does it for free because he can. Every physician I've ever encountered has a different reason for needing to make a change. One of the most heartwarming experiences involved a foreign medical graduate who had left her family in Haiti to get additional training here in the States. As frequently occurs with foreign medical graduates, she was having a difficult time getting into a suitable residency program. A tremendous amount of sacrifices had been made by her family back in Haiti to get her educated and subsequently relocated to the U.S. The understanding of her family was that she would become a successful doctor in the U.S. and would then send for her aging parents once she got into private practice. It was also expected that she would help to support her siblings and their families back in Haiti. The reality of the situation was quite different from the expectation, however. She couldn't get into a residency program and had no opportunities to practice clinical medicine. She had taken a lab tech job in order to pay her rent while she continued to apply for residencies. There was no money to send home to support her family and no way to bring her parents to the U.S. She felt very defeated, yet steadfast in her determination to find a way to give back to her family that had sacrificed so much for her. She had sent out numerous resumes for non-clinical job openings, but had had no offers. She came to me hoping that I could help her package her skill set in a way that she would be more appealing to hiring managers. She also desperately needed someone to help her network, which happens to be one of my strengths. We worked together for less than a month, and within that time she had 3 different job offers, all making 6 figures. Today she has a fulfilling non-clinical career, a lovely home, and has been able to bring both of her parents and even one of her grandparents to the U.S. to live with her. She is solely responsible for educating her oldest nephew back in Haiti and is currently working to help one of her other siblings get to the U.S. Hers is an incredible story of determination and a great example of what can be accomplished when you're honest with yourself about your true needs in life. I could go on and on about stories of transformation, but I think you can see that just about anything is possible. This is what I love about helping doctors transition into non-clinical careers or entrepreneurial ventures. Add to that the fact that I deal with people that on the deepest level believe that anything is possible and are willing to work hard to achieve it. Because honestly, doesn't that apply to every single person that has ever gotten into and then graduated from medical school? We are all turbo achievers. We all believe we can be successful at anything we try. Now it's time to admit to ourselves that we need help getting to the next level. And this brings us to our next shift. You must embrace the investment in coaching or mentoring. Throughout the course of our training, we have all had mentors and people that we looked up to that had gone before us. In fact, I bet if you're honest with yourself, you can point to the exact person that led you to your chosen medical specialty. Once you were accepted into your residency, there was most likely at least one faculty member that you trusted to lead you through the rigorous training that was involved in your education. At the end of your residency or fellowship, I would venture to say that you relied either on the recommendations of one of your residency or fellowship mentors, or the networking connections that were present within your residency or fellowship to get your first clinical job. Transitioning your career from clinical medicine to non-clinical opportunities is no different. The greatest entrepreneurial and business minds all have mentors. As unbelievable as it may sound due to their high levels of success, individuals such as Warren Buffett, Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and every other high-profile business or political leader you could think of all have mentors. Mentors come in different shapes and sizes. Some mentors and coaches provide career direction, while others provide emotional health or relationship guidance. Mentorship is incredibly important when issues of significance are on the line. You might be wondering why you need to bring someone else into your life in order to have success. Don't get me wrong, that's not really what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that coaching and mentorship serves to move the process along at a significantly quicker pace and ultimately leads to a higher rate of success. This happens because coaching and mentorship reduces frustration, provides objectivity from a third party, and minimizes wasted resources. And by wasted resources, I'm speaking specifically to the amount of time spent spinning your wheels before making a decision to move forward. I'm also speaking about the amount of money not earned by failing to make a decision and move forward in that way as well. Mentors and coaches force you to be accountable for your decisions or lack thereof, as well as helping you to find the path that best suits you and take the action to get there. Now that you know how much you need mentoring or coaching, how do you go about finding a great mentor, you may be wondering? Well, this is a bit like asking you how you find your best friend. Oftentimes it comes down to the chemistry and the comfort you feel with one another. I've always believed that the best mentor is one that is like-minded. In order to achieve amazing results, your mentor has to understand where you began, where you're coming from, and where you're trying to go. Ideally, the best mentor has walked the road you are trying to walk before you. A great mentor understands the subtle nuances that you would need to embrace or avoid in order to reach your goal. In other words, the best mentor for you is the one that has shared a similar experience and has been successful in doing so. A great mentor should have at a minimum a similar level of education. This is true because you need to be able to look to your mentor or coach as an authority. Without being able to look up to someone and trust that what they're telling you is accurate, it is very difficult to follow their direction. A great mentor has a proven track record of taking their clients from point A to point B, the same point A that you're starting from, and a similar point B that you're trying to achieve. As a doctor, you wouldn't hire a mentor that has helped interior designers, for example, launch a celebrity design business. Just in the same way, an interior designer wouldn't hire a fitness coach to launch their interior design business. Successful mentors help the same type of clients achieve similar results of exceptional success over and over again. And last but not least, a great coach or mentor is nothing without their ability to network. Networking is the most important aspect of change. Very few great jobs, career opportunities, or entrepreneurial ideas were ever successful without knowing the right people. The reality of clinical medicine is that you're limited in your ability to network because your social and professional circles are predominantly confined to other medical professionals. Mentors are critical in their ability to network. If you don't have a mentor or coach that has connections in the non-clinical or entrepreneurial world that can successfully network on your behalf, you don't have a mentor or coach that can produce the type of success you require. And last but not least, be brave. Be very brave. Non-clinical medicine and entrepreneurism is unique in and of itself and is quite different from clinical practice. As physicians, we have a clear understanding of what it's like to treat patients in an educated and compassionate way. We were taught well in that regard, and we're very confident in our ability to practice excellent clinical medicine. What the vast majority of us were never taught is how to run a profitable business. Those of us that have run our own practices probably have some experience negotiating contracts either with other physicians, insurance companies, or hospital administrations. However, our ability to do so was most likely an acquired skill after our training rather than part of our medical curriculum. Unfortunately, most salespeople whose job it is to sell physicians, especially where high-end goods are concerned, love to see a doctor walk through the door because it equates to a quicker sale with a less sophisticated brand of negotiation. During the initial part of the Clinton administration, when Hillary Clinton was tasked to reform health care and the salaries of hospital-based physicians subsequently plummeted, it came as no surprise to market analyst specialists that physicians had one of the highest rates of bankruptcy and home foreclosure of any occupation during that period of time. It was a really scary time for physicians because physicians feel they are required to maintain a certain standard of living and represent themselves in a sophisticated fashion, and this means that they often live above their means financially. And this is fine until the healthcare cuts were made back then, and reimbursement changed. Hospital administrations required physicians to accept certain insurances that everyone knew didn't pay, and on and on and on. Well, this is exactly what happened at the beginning of the Clinton administration and what we are currently seeing with Obamacare. Know that this isn't political commentary on my part in any way, but a way to mark a time in history when physicians had to make some very difficult financial decisions to keep their lives afloat. Changes in our income occurred not because we chose to work less, but rather because someone thought they were better able to determine our worth as healthcare providers than we were. Had we as doctors been trained with a better set of business skills and the ability to negotiate through a free trade system, and by that I don't mean the lobbyists in D.C., we would not have been in a situation where we had to consider doing things like signing dental charts to supplement our income. And I'm sure we've all seen at least one colleague have to make a questionable practice decision based on the bottom dollar, and that is so unfortunate. So what does being brave have to do with what I was just talking about? Well, it has to do with knowing when you're in over your head, and that's not something that most doctors like to admit. As physicians, we are accustomed to being an expert in our field. We accepted the role and we embrace it. We know that we understand medicine and can use medicine for the betterment of our patients' lives. That can sometimes extrapolate to us thinking that we know about other things the same way we know about medicine, and that's where being brave comes in. To be a successful physician entrepreneur, you must be willing to admit that you don't know what you don't know. As a physician entrepreneur, not only must you be brave enough to admit what you don't know, you must expect to be humbled, and as such must be eager to learn from those who have successfully gone before you. You must be excited about facing adversity, viewing adversity as being one step closer to success and coming out on the other side victorious. You must remain undaunted when things don't fall into place immediately. Non-clinical medicine and entrepreneurship is not a guaranteed track like you experienced during your clinical training when you went from undergrad to medical school into residency and possibly fellowship and then into your practice. The business of transitioning out of clinical medicine is less like an exponential growth curve and more like a sine wave. This can be tricky because emotionally speaking, we as physicians are accustomed to accomplishing our goals on the first go-round. I know that it's a scary thought to consider that things may not fall into place immediately. You have to remember, as they say in the movies, you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. Don't despair, however. The goal is to make your failures happen quickly. Make them happen quickly, embrace them, and get them out of the way, because in fact, early failure is your friend. Every failure or lack of meeting your goal gets you one step closer to success, and that's why I believe that you only fail if you stop trying. The mindset of an entrepreneur or physician interested in getting into non-clinical medicine has to be to embrace the challenges, and most importantly, be brave when things don't work out as you had hoped they would. And as is required in life in general, just be brave and don't let fear determine the choices you make. We are all, as physicians, accustomed to succeeding, and this transition will be no different. You will succeed, you will have a better life than you have now, and when something goes a little sideways, you will tell yourself to be brave because success is truly going to be just around the corner. These are the truths that all entrepreneurs live by. So let's wrap it up. Today I promised you that I would show you how to let go of the feelings you're having about transitioning out of clinical medicine, stop being driven by guilt, and then help you stop worrying about what other people may think about your decisions that you're making with your life. I promised you that I would open your mind to new possibilities and help be a voice to direct your decision. And probably most importantly, I promised to help you embrace the emotions involved in transitioning your career. So as a recap, the 5 shifts that you need to make to transition your career are: operate with total honesty and integrity, leverage your time, pattern your transition after those who have successfully gone before you, invest in mentoring, and be brave. Now you have a choice to make. Once you have made the choice to move forward, this is how we can help. My team and I have set aside some time in the next week to speak to you personally about how you can transition your clinical career. The cost to you, you may be wondering, is absolutely free. Let me explain who this is for. You must be absolutely committed to exploring the opportunities available to you to transition your career in a direction that will provide you with an excellent income, a wonderful lifestyle, and the success to continue to give back to the causes that are important to you. This is for you if you're ready to act and confident that you have what it takes to make what I like to call a Chuck Norris transition. We will help you discover exactly what you want your new life to look like and the exact steps you need to take to achieve your goal. If you want us to help you, and if we think it's a good fit after our conversation, we may invite you to become one of the new clients that we'll take on this month. If we work together, we'll put you through the same program we put our mastermind clients through. The curriculum is designed to get you to your new career in just 6 weeks. We'll expect you to work hard, keep an open mind, and follow our recommendations, designed specifically for the success you are trying to achieve. In short, we'll expect you to be a rock star. We'll expect you to be focused and driven. You'll think outside the box. Non-clinical or entrepreneurial success will be yours for the taking at the end of just 6 weeks. Thank you for spending the time during what I know is a very busy day to listen to me speak to you on this webinar. Don't waste any more time dreaming. Let's get started. Take action today. Space is very limited, so click the link below and sign up now. Take care.